scripted. And I thought
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Phoenix Rising. Today I have my dear old friend, Lindsay Reeve, with me, and he's brought along a very special guest, Klyph Black.
Special,
And
right?
Klyph, yes. And Klyph has been a musician on the East End and many other places, but mostly we try to keep you here. For, I won't even say how many years, a number of decades. Is that fair,
yes,
Klyph?
that's a fair.
I'll be fair.
That's a fair
I'll
way
be
to
fair.
put it.
So today we're going to be blessed with some original pieces and some others that have been popular through the years. And I'll let you hear from Lindsay first, a little bit about his background, and then we'll pick on Klyph. All right.
Well,
Go, Lindsay.
if I had continued farming, I would have been fifth generation on the farm, but I decided that was a great place to grow up and not a great place to grow old.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's a hard life.
got a haircut at the time and a real job. And hair grew back. I retired from that job after 31 years, and now I'm just driving people to the airports and playing music with the likes of this guy here.
Yeah.
From time to time. Actually, Klyph and I haven't played together probably in 15 years.
Really?
I know.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Haven't seen each other in that amount of time. Yeah.
Klyph, were you ever up at the coffee house when he and Diane had it?
Yeah.
You would have
No.
had such an
Oh, yeah,
amazing time there. You would have loved
You would
it.
have moved in, yeah.
I probably would have.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
we would have had to unfold a cot for you because it was just an amazing. That's where I met Lindsay and
Yeah.
Diane. I came in one day.
That's where we met most of the
Yeah.
people that are in our lives today.
Yeah,
That's
came
what we call
in
it,
and
yeah.
Diane was in the back.
Yeah.
And I said, "Hi, my name is Phoenix. I'm a Reiki master teacher." And I just finished teaching Reiki having a Reiki class over at River Yoga
Yeah.
with Kate, and she was moving out of that space. Would it be okay with you if I did a Reiki circle here on Sunday afternoons? And she said, what's Reiki?
Yeah.
So I told her
To
what
begin
Reiki
with.
was, and she said, sure. So we started out in the little hallway that's all the way on the north side of the property. And
It was like a little tiny room.
there's
on
a
the
little
way to the
tiny,
bathroom.
little tiny way on the way to the bathroom.
And it
And
blossomed,
after 2 weeks,
2 weeks, yeah.
we were in the front main room.
Occupying the entire front of the shop.
Couches, chairs, and the people were so comfortable in the energy of this coffee house,
Yeah.
thanks to Diane and Lindsay and
You knew it as
what
soon as
they
you walked in the
presented.
door. Yeah, the
is that-
colors, everything was weird as soon as you walked in. You said, well, this is weird enough to be a good thing.
It
Very
was
cool.
just amazing that even when she was running the espresso machine, whatever it was,
Yeah.
people would be out of it.
Yeah.
They'd be gone.
Yeah,
They
the
didn't hear a
Reiki.
thing. They didn't hear motorcycles go by. They didn't
Yeah.
hear babies crying coming in. They heard nothing because somehow we created this like sacred bubble.
And it
in
was
the
kind of
front.
like,
People fell asleep on the couch.
it was kind of like drug-free tripping.
It really was. Yeah, it really was.
It really
just
was.
Doesn't sound too
amazing.
bad.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
And people still approach them and say, "Oh, open it again." It was like, "No, you open it and we'll
You open
come."
it, we'll come this
Right.
time.
You
Yes.
know, it was a tremendous amount of work.
Yeah.
You know.
The coffee house was a tremendous success in every way but money.
Yes, yes.
And I think a lot of businesses are like that too, probably.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. It
I'm
was
so
an-
glad that we did it, and I appreciate Diane so much for having put that. She just ate and breathed the coffee house for a long time, and that's what kept it going. I was still working for the town of Riverhead at the time,
Right.
my regular career, and she was the brains of the whole operation. It's the town wasn't ready for it yet. In fact, our first bad omen came 2 weeks after the initial grand opening with the big scissors and the whole cutting ribbon and the town fathers that were there that one time for a picture.
Yeah, that one.
Anyway, I won't dwell on that too much more. But it was just quite a time. But anyway, 2 weeks after that, our grand opening, that's when Sweezy's floor-to-ceiling signs went up and the windows going out of business. And that was the draw for downtown Riverhead. So we were like,
Yeah.
that's not a good sign at all.
Yeah.
Well, we'd look, stuck it out. We were hoping, and then the town board was, any day now that the theater's going to open. That was long before Suffolk Theaters did
Right.
actually open. And it never did open during our tenure down there. So we decided after 7 years that Diane had lost enough sleep, and it was time to,
Time to move on.
Time
yeah,
to
time to
move
turn
on.
the page. But
You know.
I value every single moment that we put into it, and especially I value Diane for it.
Yeah.
So she was,
She's
she
an
was the heart of it.
amazing,
I was the entertainment committee. She was the brains of the operation.
There were some funny
No, you
times,
need
Klyph.
entertainment.
Yeah, I think so.
Klyph, there was someone there, a bass player, a local bass player, who didn't know who Lindsay was. And Lindsay, you have to tell that story because
You know
Klyph
him, but I'm
doesn't
not
know
gonna
it.
mention the name.
No, we're not
I'm
going to
sure
mention
you know
it.
I think I
We
know
will
who
just
it
say
is.
bass. We will just say
Already.
bass player. But
Yeah.
and we're not mentioning the name, so anyone watching the show,
It was so
use your
funny.
imagination. But Lindsay, you have to let Klyph
It was just
know
so
the
funny.
story.
We were doing it was just
Open
one
mic
of the
night or
Thursday
something.
night open mics. Yeah, we were doing our open mic, and I was up at the mic with the harmonica, just accompanying 2 or 3 other people who were already playing. I guess there was 3 or 4 people playing already. And this one guy comes in and opens up his bass and gets in the middle of everything, and then he gets his bass on, gets it strapped on, he's tuning it up. Okay, now he's all set to play. And he comes up to me, he goes, gets like right in my face, he goes, getting a little crowded up here, don't you think? So you wanted me to move away
Wanted
from,
him to
move
remove
away
himself.
So he could take my
So he
space. So I said, yeah, it just kind of did, didn't it? And I, subtly. And I walked away. And it wasn't until he was done, he looked, and the next time he saw me, I was behind the counter. And he didn't know that I was
Oh,
part owner of the
right.
place. I thought that was so funny.
It was
We kind of gained
hysterical.
somewhat respect for us right off the bat after that.
I
But,
have a feeling I know
He
who
kind
it
of like
is.
swallowed his tongue,
but I also
didn't
had
say
his,
anything to
I also
anyone.
had his number from that point on.
Yes.
He's still a friend. It's just,
Yes, he's a character, and
Yeah,
he
he's just a
he
character.
loves the microphone, and
Yeah.
he just he needs to shine, and he's very good at what he does.
Oh yeah, he's
Oh,
good.
yeah.
He's
Very
good at
good at what he
shining.
does.
Yeah, Klyph
But
definitely knows who it is.
that was like stick your foot in your mouth day, which was
Yeah, yeah.
just precious when
Yeah.
it happened. So you see, we do have an evil side.
Yeah, let's see what
We
you've
do have
done.
an evil
Let's see
side.
what terrible things you've done in the past, Klyph.
I don't do any evil things.
No. So
I'm not an
Cliff,
evil guy.
no, you're not an evil guy. You have really sweet energy.
No, evil takes a lot of
Yeah.
energy, and it's
Yeah.
it's so nicer not to. It's so much easier not to be evil. I
Yeah.
think you have to go out of your way to be evil generally.
You really
Yeah.
do. You really
You
do.
know, and why? Why bother?
No. I enjoy
Yeah.
being this.
I just like
Yeah.
to do
much.
this. This is what
Yes.
I,
Yeah,
Whether
Yeah.
it's this or bass, either one. doesn't-
Okay.
yeah.
You know.
What do you have a preference?
I
At all?
don't actually. You know, as people ask me that, you know, do you have a preference of
Right.
bass or guitar? And it's
Yeah.
really not really. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, each one had its purpose when I did it.
Right.
That was really really what happened. That I had to, you know, I was a bass player for. I guess if people knew me as a player, they would say I was a bass
Bass
player.
player.
Unless they met me from out here, I played guitar most of the time.
Gotcha. Did you come from the east end of Long Island?
I grew up in Westbury,
Okay.
Long Island.
Ah, city kid.
Well,
Let's see,
no, that's still
I was
suburban.
born in Brooklyn.
All right.
Okay.
Born in
Me
Brooklyn.
too. Well, I wasn't born in Brooklyn. I was born in Manhattan, and my parents lived in Brooklyn.
Right.
So, and the day that I was
Everybody.
born, my dad was so flustered he didn't take a cab with my mom to the hospital. They rode the train, and it was a snowstorm. I don't think she ever forgave him for that.
Oh my goodness.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
So yeah, good old Brooklyn.
I
Yeah.
love Brooklyn.
Yeah, we're
do.
part of Brooklyn. I was East New York.
I was. It was the outskirts of Park Slope and Bed-Stuy.
Oh, Bed-Stuy.
It
Okay.
was like it's right where the Barclay Center is.
Yeah.
Greenpoint's in there somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Best kibasi in the world.
I liked living there. I mean, it was a great
Yeah.
place, and I was kind of bummed out that that we lost it to the Barclay Center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all should take a trip into the city one day, the Lower East Side in
Oh, yeah.
Brooklyn,
Yeah.
and go on a feeding frenzy.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Of course.
And then let's go see the Blue Man after that.
There
Yes,
you go. Ah,
definitely.
Yeah. We did that for Diane's. Was it 30th, 40th?
There's also another off-Broadway show. I don't know if either of you have seen it. I've been to it 3 times, and I would go again Stomp.
oh, uh-huh.
Oh, yeah,
On
yeah.
The
8th
ru-
Street, right?
Yeah.
Well, on,
It's Orpheum.
I think it's
Off
still.
of-
Yeah,
off of
It's
the-
still
I
going.
think so.
uh-huh.
The rhythm.
I think last time I drove
Because the
to the city, I
Orpheum's
saw
a
the
small
same.
theater, so anyone watching
Yeah.
this, if you can get to the city to see Stomp, because there are no big names in
Right.
it, but
But
this
big
group
talent.
of
Oh my God.
individuals, I get goosebumps thinking about them. You could watch them, or you could just close your eyes, and the rhythms of just entering the stage, sweeping the broom,
Yeah.
and had the broom.
Right.
Yeah.
Starts picking up the rhythm, and the other young person comes out with a garbage can cover or 2 serving spoons.
Yeah.
And just how they put everything together without one traditional musical instrument.
One of my favorite things, the last time
That's
we were
pretty
down in New
cool.
Orleans, we ran across, and the best music in New Orleans is always on the street, I think. You know?
Did you meet a guy down there? He was a bass player, and his name was Chewy.
Bunch of guys. I think so. I think so.
I have a CD that he made that he gifted me
Uh-huh.
when I was in New Orleans in
Nice.
2000. And this little man on the street, and he said about this bar, because they're all wide open, he said, "Get in here, redhead." And it was like, okay, so you went in. His music was phenomenal.
It's
Chewy, I'll never forget
magic.
him.
You've been there, right?
Actually, I've only been there once.
Yeah.
And it was the weirdest experience in a way because, no, I mean,
Well,
it's a
can
funny
be.
thing. I was down there with my band, the Zen Tricksters were touring, and we got
Yeah.
a gig playing down there, and it was around the time of Jazz Fest.
Okay,
You know,
a big
Nice.
event.
What a great
Well,
time to be
but
there.
we weren't, we were playing, but there's music 24 hours a day there, So
Yes.
It never
so
stops.
we drove from one of the other states. We were touring around in we traveled in a van and a trailer, and so we get to the gig, and we unload the stuff at, I forgot the name of the place. I can't remember the name of the place. I want to say the Lone Wolf, but I don't think that's what it was called. It was something like that. And so we get there, at like 3 in the afternoon or whatever it is to load in. We load in our gear, and we're not playing till like 2 in the morning.
Oh, my God.
Never, another city that never
Right,
sleeps.
so-
Yeah.
So, we drop off the gear, and they say the gear's fine there, so we go check into our hotel, we go to the hotel. And now it's, 6 o'clock, we still have like, 8 hours before we're gonna play, it's like this. And
That's nuts.
so I said to the band, I go, well, look, we got all this time, it's 6 o'clock, let's go get something to eat. I mean, we're in New Orleans.
You
I
gotta
mean,
eat.
Right?
Ooh.
And they didn't want to go anywhere. And then
Oh,
we ended up
no.
eating like at the restaurant in the hotel.
I'm
And it was
sorry.
like a Outback Steakhouse or
Oh,
something like
stop.
that. And I
How
was like,
sad.
how can you
No,
guys do this? I mean, it's like
Yeah, there
we're
should
in
be a
New
You
law.
gotta be
Orleans,
adventurous and say to somebody local, where would you go to eat dinner?
Oh, no, I mean, but they just didn't want to.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm getting rooked.
Yeah.
Getting rooked.
To be in New Orleans,
It's time to
not
put some
have-
distance
not have
between you and those
something
guys
good,
for at least for dinner.
yeah. So you have to go, you've gotta go back now.
Yeah.
Anytime I've been there,
Trying.
I've always come back, and I've said 2 things every time I came back from New Orleans. First I say, man, I wish I lived closer to New Orleans, and then I say, and thank God I don't live closer to New
New Orleans.
Well,
yeah.
it's a tough
Yeah.
place, man.
Yeah, double-edged sword, honey.
Oh, I love it, but I wouldn't live to be very old if I lived,
No.
I don't think.
Question for you, Klyph, my
Sure.
dear. Did you take music lessons in school, or were you in band? Were you in orchestra?
No, I was never in an orchestra.
Did you
or
play at
anything.
home?
I picked up guitar. I took
How
guitar
old were you?
lessons when I was a little kid.
Okay.
And
Like
then I
10-ish
stopped.
or so?
Yeah, and then I stopped. And then I just kept playing and trying to make some kind of sound out of it as I could. But then I switched to bass very quickly.
Okay.
Because back in those days, like all the bands that you played in, right, there were no bass players.
No, they
It was
needed
like
bass
everybody
players, yeah.
played with 2 guitars and a drummer,
Everybody wanted to be a guitar player.
Right.
Yeah.
So I switched to bass.
Okay. So we'll go back to talking, but is there something that you'd like to start out with to play for everyone today?
Well,
It's up to you, honey, whatever you want to do.
okay, I like that.
Just
know?
give me a key.
So, yeah, let's do this one. Let's do that one that we did before, that one Reno. We'll do
And
that
you're in G?
we're in A.
You're in A, okay.
So we'll start off with that. It'll be a little raucous. And,
Oh, raucous is good.
a little raucous, And so
Okay.
this is called Reno.
Okay. Nevada, huh?
I went down to Reno. I saw Chicago as well. I saw the bright lights of LA. Georgia jail. You know I made it by freight train, honey. I flown first class too. I thought I'd done it all, but I ain't done nothing with you. I used to play in the best clubs. I rode in big limousines. I had my choice of the best girls. Had it all, so it seemed. You know I once was a farmer, baby. I was a flashback too. I thought I'd done it all, but I ain't done nothing with you. You know I'm tired of talking. I want some answers right now. You know the way that you treat me. I feel so bad at how. I was a cocaine connection. Yeah, the flat broke too. I thought I'd done it all, but I ain't done nothing with you. I thought I'd done it all, but I ain't done nothing with you. I thought I'd done it all, but I won't do it with you.
All right. Oh, I love it. I am so
You know what's
blessed
the
to
most
be doing
fun
this.
part of this is that, again, he and I haven't sat down next to each other in over 15 years. Haven't
Yeah.
seen each other in that long.
And it just-
and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's like riding a bike.
No,
It's like riding a bike.
because you both listen to each other.
That's
You
pretty
know,
much what it
and
is.
that's what
Yeah.
happens when you're sitting with someone, whether it's the first time ever, second time like in 2 days, or 15 years or so. But when I've noticed, because we've had a lot of musicians on the show,
Right.
and so when we've had Jan on with you, with Ahmed, and
Yeah.
goodness knows who
Oh,
else,
that
and a
was-
whole bunch of people.
What a
good-
great show. A couple of shows those were.
But, and people that, and Ahmed never played with Jan, and he never
Right.
played with you,
Yeah,
and blah, blah,
yeah.
blah. But sitting here outside of it, just observing how, with being very gentle about it, very natural about it, listening to each other, and how it moves so perfectly.
Well, it's easy
And
listening
makes
to
someone
Cliff.
like me so happy.
Oh, good.
I
That's
just
great.
absolutely,
Cliff's one of my
absolutely.
favorite people to listen to.
Yeah.
I wish I got to play with him more, but he's in
Yeah.
East Hampton and I'm not.
So we were talking
It
in.
doesn't
I know.
doesn't
Yeah.
sound like it's insurmountable, but, he
But
gets
you
in
know
the
what?
way.
This is now the opening of another door.
Right.
Yeah.
Of Klyph coming, scooping
Sure.
Klyph
Up
up
the
to bring
island.
him a little further
Up
west.
the island.
Come up toward like the
Come west,
Riverhead
come there.
area and
Come as
stuff.
far as Flanders.
Toward, well, like at Kenny's on the Green and stuff like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Right, we used to joke around about that. Say, you know, some guys that go, no, they're not gonna go. They're not going west of Riverhead.
Yeah.
Well, we're just at
Right,
Riverhead.
right.
Yeah, we're just
Uh-huh.
like right there at the golf course,
Yep.
you know, and having a lot of fun there too.
I booked for the Jamesport Farm Brewery up in Jamesport on Sound
Right.
Avenue and had Cliff and
Yeah.
a couple of his buddies there
We had a good
few weeks
time
ago.
playing
And,
there.
and the accolades I got, I couldn't make it that day, I was elsewhere, but. The
On a
accolades-
Saturday,
Yeah.
and I was
Was it
seeing
either Saturday or
clients.
Sunday? What was it? Well, it doesn't matter.
No, it was a Sunday.
Sunday, okay.
It was
Sunday.
a Sunday.
But I mean, you know, usually they're just happy with the bands and that's it. And if something's wrong, they'll tell me. If they don't want a band back, they'll tell me. You know.
Yes, we know they've
But,
told you.
but usually if they don't tell me, I understand that that's a keeper. You know.
Yeah.
This time they went out of the way to say, "Holy smokes!" And the
We
way,
want
and
it
the way,
it
and the
was
way
a lot
Tony
of
put
fun.
it was, he texted me. He says, "It's about time. 3 old guys playing nothing but good music straight from their souls."
All right.
And
I love it. I love it.
It made me feel
Yeah.
good, Pat. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like,
To know that
I don't know if I
people-
like being called an old guy, but that's all right.
Well, I
you
think
know?
the gray highlights probably
I
threw it
love
off.
it. Highlights. Great highlights. So we were talking in the kitchen before we came into the studio, because Klyph and I have never met in person before.
Right?
And,
Doesn't
but
feel like it, though,
we
does it?
have someone in common, Monty Faber.
Yeah.
And Monty's been on the show with the
Non-stop.
beautiful Amy. They're really awesome couple. They are so multifaceted. And just focusing on Monty right now, Monty has, security, musician, writer, photographer, astrologer,
Songwriter.
just beyond the scope of my brain functioning and
Well-rounded guy.
very well-rounded, and personality plus.
Right.
So I saw when I, was looking at information about you that I wasn't sitting here saying, oh, duh. It tickled me so to read the history of you and Monty and the robot.
Roland.
So I'm going to leave that up to you. Would you share about Monty, you and Roland? Didn't you do a recording at that time when he had the robot? Wasn't that a recording session?
No, when I met Monty, I met him and he was using Roland. He had a band called the Me, Myself, and I Band.
Okay, that's no
And
surprise, right?
Sylph was spelled, what was it, S-L-Y-P-H, right?
Uh-huh.
Sylph. And he would record all the instruments. Like Roland was a mannequin.
Mm-hmm.
The stomach cut out.
Mm-hmm. Lindsay's loving this.
And a cassette deck put in the stomach. And then
I wonder if he
head-
still has them.
no, he got stolen. He got kidnapped.
Somebody took
Oh,
Roland.
somebody kidnapped
Roland got
Roland.
kidnapped,
All right, so
yeah.
we're putting an APB out for
Yeah.
Roland
Keep
many
your eye
years
for this-
later.
Keep your eye for the guy of that description.
Right.
Yeah.
So and he didn't, he didn't have a head, so he had a drum machine on the top of his head. And these were, back in the day, like, before programmable drum machines.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
it was a beatbox,
Yeah,
basically,
sure.
Yeah. And Monty played acoustic guitar. Well, he played electric guitar too, but most of the time he played like an acoustic 12-string, or he played bass.
Okay.
So he would do both of those things, and he would play a song, and he'd turn Roland on, he'd flick the switch, and Roland.
Lindsay's trying not to bust out.
Roland would count off.
Roland would count off.
And then the song would start, and he would play along with the tape, to do
that's
these
too
things,
much.
and it was great. I mean, he had great songs. It was very cool.
Yeah.
And so I used to go see him and hang out. That was at the place called Snuggler's Cove.
Right, that was before
Which
Stephen
was-
Talkhouse days.
Well, before Stephen Talkhouse was a music place.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Stephen Talkhouse was open back then, but it was just a cool bar with
Bar to hang out,
with
yeah.
with a jukebox, with a good jukebox.
What a good
Yeah.
jukebox.
And Snuggler's was really actually the place that
Snuggler's
had
was
the
further
music.
east.
Yeah, it's where Felice's, the Italian restaurant,
Yeah.
which is now called Astro's, which it was before.
Before.
But so that was the bar. That building was the bar,
Yeah.
and Monty played there. Probably every Friday or Saturday.
Yeah.
It was his gig, and he eventually put a band together.
Mm-hmm.
And the band was too big to play in the place because the place was tiny. The place was, you played in the window of the place.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
just, it was, and
Three people
so
would be
he
tight.
couldn't play there anymore, and they were looking for somebody to take the gig. So I took the gig,
Okay.
and I ended up getting a guitar with a pickup on it, and eventually PA system, whatever.
Yeah.
So I started playing there, and
Oh, so they didn't even have a sound system yet.
no, they didn't. It was just a bar,
Yeah.
man. It was just, it was a cool bar, though.
Yeah.
And the guys who ran it, Huck Esposito, and before him, it was this guy Ira owned it, and then Huck took it over, and we kept on playing there, and eventually I, was just by myself, and then eventually my buddy Jeff Silverman started playing electric bongos with me.
Electric bongos.
Yep, and
That'd be a
then
good band name, actually.
drummer, bass player showed
Right.
up. Eventually it became a band. My harmonica player Eddie Mack
Mm-hmm.
showed up. He started playing, and
the
And that's how it
pieces fell
started out
together.
here. That's how it started out here for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
And I'd come back all the time to Snugglers, like when if I went out on the road with the band,
Right.
with another band or something, I would come back and I'd play there.
It was home base.
It was home base,
Yeah.
And then Monty started playing the bigger clubs out here,
Yeah.
It's nice to have a place where you feel like you belong. And after
It
playing all
really
over the place,
is.
the place to kind of call home.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, for my band, it's Stonewalls and Kenny's on the Green.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
those two places are the places
Right.
that we call home. You know,
Yeah.
and mainly because the food is to die for at both
Oh,
places.
it is so good. And we
And
end up
when-
like, we act like fools because the food comes and
Well,
we
it's
have
not
to
a big
act like
stretch.
idiots and start taking pictures of it. Like, oh, look at what,
Yeah.
it reminds me of my mother as she got older. And it's scary because she would say, when I'd call her and say, hey, Ma, how are you doing? Say, well, yesterday I had this to eat. And I'm like, do not ever let me get like that. And here we are, we're
Right,
all
that's
doing
right.
this now.
That's what you do.
That's what we
That's what we
do.
do.
So what else do you have up your sleeve for our slot of time here? for
Well,
you
I
and
don't know.
Lindsay?
I was wondering that myself. But
You gonna let Lindsay pick or you wanna pick?
Nah, you pick.
Oh, see, he
leave it.
I'll
just
just
passed
sit
the
in.
buck to you.
I'll sit in.
That's
Absolutely.
okay. I don't mind.
sure did.
I don't mind. I don't
I
mind at all.
definitely passed the buck to you.
All right. Well, since we're doing the surprise tunes,
Yeah,
like the
surprises.
surprise tunes here. So this one would be
What key are you in?
a C. Well, I'm in G.
Okay.
I never know if I. Tired of don't pay no mind. She'll take you with her or leave you behind. And it don't matter, go or stay. I know tomorrow will be a brighter day. And I've been spinning my wheels, ain't got much further in too many years. It's a tough living, but
tell you how
I'm
happy
so
I am.
happy
This
too.
is just so good. You know what?
That
You
was
can't
great.
live without music. You know, when people ask you those
No.
little questionnaires, what's the most important thing in your life? Yes, to have your body functioning, to have air,
Yeah.
Right.
breathe. I couldn't make it through a day without music.
You know what I thrive on playing though? My favorite thing is like what we're doing right now, not knowing what
No.
we're gonna play next.
What did you say to
Because
me
I just
once? The
can't-
show runs organically.
Yeah, yeah,
That's right.
it keeps it organic that way. You know, it's I hate when something seems over rehearsed. Like if you want it perfect,
Well, you can't accuse us of ever being rehearsed.
if you want it perfect, spend $250 and go see the Eagles.
And really, it's still not
Well,
even perfect.
There's something to be said for.
By rote. It's not even perfection. It's like,
Well, I think that the bands like that, like the Eagles, you know, like I think that's what they said. They said, you know what, everybody who comes to hear us, that's what they want to. They
They
want
want
to
this.
hear
Right.
that song, the way
Right.
that song is now.
Yep.
I mean,
every little note that you're hanging on to hear, it's right, there.
that
If
guitar
you see
solo,
the
that
Eagles
whole
live.
thing. I mean, and
Yeah.
there's definitely an art to that. You know,
Definitely.
I mean, it wasn't something I ever aspired to.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like he says, that word of organic is
Yeah.
like perfect. It's
Yeah.
for anything I do in my life, including these precious shows that have you people on it.
Thank
You people.
Some of the imperfections wind up being the best
it's-
part sometimes.
There really is no. When I used to teach dance, and I would say, okay, left foot, and I would turn around and I would see the students behind me, the lineup, and I would say, oh no, honey, your other left foot, because there are no mistakes.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
just a variation. It's like, who said that about jazz? So it's one wrong note, but if you're
Oh,
playing
that's-
jazz
no,
the
that's-
second time you hit the note,
Well,
it's jazz.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was
You know.
an issue I had with somebody I used to play with years ago. They were just too much of a perfectionist, and it got to be after about 3 years.
It's
I
not fun.
couldn't have fun anymore. You know, 'cause it's just that person would
Well,
grimace that they hit a wrong note. And I say, don't worry about it. It was jazz for a second. It's not a
It's
problem.
Well, even
not.
if it's not, the thing is if you're not, some people look at it like, if you don't play a wrong note, then you're not trying hard enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because there's your
Well,
creativity
there's-
too.
Right, in other words,
That's a good way
you
to
should
put
be
it.
able to go, and if you hit a wrong note, you hit a wrong note. You know, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you know, there's the guys who are those
Oh,
perfectionists
yes.
that, you know, that
Mm-hmm.
can play
And
like
I wonder,
that.
are they really having fun? Well,
I
that
think
maybe
it
yes,
depends on the-
but it's not fun
Maybe
the
it's
way
their own brand.
we
of
do
fun, I
it.
guess. Yeah.
When I belonged to this dance team and we used to travel, and that was a hoot and a half. But at rehearsals, the person that was my partner, we were both cut-ups. We couldn't help it. This is who we are. And the director of the team, this woman Fern, I thought she was gonna like turn red and blow up one day.
Mm.
Because it wasn't even a serious, it was just like, you know, getting used to these new steps, to this new routine. So yeah, we're part of horsing around and stuff, and then we were gonna get serious. And she couldn't handle it. And it wasn't just us, there was a few other
Yeah,
people on the
yeah.
team. So we kind of voted her out, and another person who was still like pretty strict, but not, if you're dealing with music, if you're dealing with dance, there has to
Or any
be
art
some,
form.
everyone's body moves differently. Everyone, even if you're playing the same song, two different people playing the guitar, your energy is coming through it. Your uniqueness, your sweetness
Well,
is
that's
coming
the,
through that.
That's
key.
that's the thing about the chemistry of playing with people. You know, it's like, I mean, and it's an interesting thing because like when people are used to playing like solo, like they don't play with anybody
Right.
but themselves. They manage to get a certain clock of their own.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when you're playing with them, you're
Built-in
like,
metronome.
that's, you know, it's like, because that's how they're
And they
hearing
can't
it,
move
and-
out of it.
Right, and they can't get out of it.
That's a lot of the old Delta blues and stuff is like that. It's like weird timing and stuff like that. And that was their
Yeah.
own. That was their own clock. you know?
Right,
It's not
right.
straight through forward,
Right.
straightforward blues.
Or like
It's,
some of those guys like John Lee Hooker and those guys doing like
Yeah.
13 bar blues.
I remember, this is gonna really date us, I gave you a tape,
uh,
a cassette tape
Cassette.
like I said.
of
Wasn't that crap,
Sonny
huh?
Terry and Brownie McGee a few years
Yeah,
ago.
love
yeah,
those
yeah.
guys.
Because
Oh
I
my God.
love it, and when he started really getting heavy into the harmonicas, it was like you've got to
Sonny
like,
Terry was
oh my God,
you
a
dig
gem,
him,
an absolute gem.
yeah.
you know, that music. And there's
Oh,
another group, and I
absolutely.
don't know the name of them. I'm gonna have to take a picture of the CD cover and send it to both of you. I don't know the name, but just the way, on the cover, this might be familiar, it's in sepia, it's the different colors of brown. And on the cover of the CD, it's people from down south, and it looks like they're playing cards. And the guy is passing a card to somebody else in between his toes, barefooted.
Oh,
I mean, it's hysterical, but their music is so awesome. And I was listening early this morning to one of my favorites, Michael Franks. Are you familiar with
sure.
him?
Yeah.
Just his
Great
his
music.
composition of
Right.
how
There's
he
heart.
says Brazil even. He doesn't say Brazil.
Yeah.
He says Brazil. Just how he enunciates and breaks up syllables in his lyrics when he's performing.
There's a lot of heart in this.
Oh my
Right.
gosh, yeah. Just monkey see, monkey do. I mean, that one just sends me right over the edge. I love that. So, okay, so we still.
Wait a second now. I've never, as many times as I've been here with you, I've never done this, but I'm going to blow up your spot. You mentioned dancing before.
Oh, damn.
Look at her face, look at her face. I'm wondering how many of your audience members know that in the 64 World's Fair, you were a caged go-go dancer.
I wasn't caged. I was on top of a bar.
You were not caged? Well, you
I was
probably
caged.
should have been.
I was caged at the Wagon Wheel and the Peppermint Lounge.
Oh,
I
okay.
was
All right,
caged
well,
there.
from now on, I'll
At
omit the cage part.
At the Metropole and the World's Fair, I was on top of a
I
bar.
just think that's the
That's-
coolest thing ever.
That's great.
And did I ever tell you the story of my debut at the Metropole?
No. Uh-oh.
I'm gonna probably turn all red on this, but since we're talking about each
Yeah,
other,
let's do that.
so I loved being a go-go girl. When they went topless, I quit because I did it because I loved dancing.
Right. I can
And
see
at the
that.
time, I was legally blind, so once you took off my Coke bottle glasses, I couldn't see the audience. So I danced for me, which
Right.
was great. I couldn't see any of those dirty
Right.
old men or
You were just-
anything,
you were just
anyone.
did-
I was
you
in
were
my
doing what
own
felt
world,
good to you.
you know. And whoever's club it was, they knew I was blind, and they would put me up on the platform or in the cage, and
Right.
then one of the other girls would help me go to the dressing room and, you know, get in the mirror and put your 32 pairs of eyelashes on. So my agent, Nat Sutton, who was previously married or divorced from Little Egypt, a belly dancer who
Holy
was very
smokes.
famous.
Yeah.
He was a dirty old man, though. He was a piece of work. But he was my agent at the
Little
time.
Egypt. Holy
And
smokes.
he got me an audition at the Metropole, which was on Broadway,
Yeah.
big club, big glass windows in the front. And I got the job. And my first day, he's there. He brought friends. My parents were there because my father was a union organizer. And wherever I worked, he was close to 6'6". He
God.
spoke to the owner and said, "That's my baby daughter.
Uh-oh.
When she's done, you put her in a cab, and this is the address you send her to, no matter what she says."
Wow.
Right. Well, you know.
I didn't always behave that. We used to eat at steak and eggs at like 4 o'clock in the morning and
Right.
just fun stuff. So the day of my debut, I'm in my beautiful new costume with my beautiful new go-go boots, and my glasses are off, the eyelashes are on, and they gave me the first platform in the window.
Oh,
right there.
Wow.
So it was 2 platforms, and in the middle was the band, and then 2 more platforms, and the guests were there, and you were above the bar. So people came in, there's the bar, there's the bartender, and then there's the entertainment. And I was known for my high kicks.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we're dancing, who knows what the music was. I was in heaven.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't see anybody. I
I'm in
didn't know
heaven
where
just
my
thinking
parents
about
was.
it.
And I did a high kick, and the leg went up, and my boot did not catch on the platform.
Oh, so you slid.
I slid, I flew right into the bar, and I landed right on the bartender.
Wow.
Wow.
And I never went back.
I don't blame
You know, I don't think they fired me. I think I was just,
So you didn't try to
So upset.
make believe that was part of the act, then?
you know, you really couldn't make.
Because that's what we would have done.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
it.
meant to do
But
that.
like at the Wagon Wheel, I had fun at the Peppermint Lounge, but the Wagon Wheel I had so much fun at. Because the drummers in between sets would try to teach me the drums, the trap sets and
neat.
stuff.
Oh,
So, yeah, I did have so much fun.
I'm glad we went there.
I'm so glad you're happy now. So now everyone knows, yeah. Yeah, when we used to do the show up in Riverhead and it was live,
Oh, Lord.
this one woman that also has a show, an author show, she flipped it on me one day, and I was interviewing her, and she said, no, she said, I think I'm going to interview you today, and the show was live, so I couldn't have them stop and edit and say, oh, hell no. It was like, okay.
All right.
So we like glanced over that I was a dancer and a dance teacher, but I was like, there's no way you're going there. Because she wasn't doing it out of fun and nice, too. She had like a really nasty streak in her.
That's my favorite story about you all time.
And maybe this winter I'll get through the suitcases of old photographs I have.
Right.
Because he's itching to see these
Oh, you
pictures.
don't have any
And
video, like old
I
8mm
ha-
or anything, do you?
You know, there probably is somewhere. But you know what was funny too? Years ago, we had, remember we did the homeless thing. What was it? Dancing for the Homeless?
Rockin' the
Rockin'
Homeless at the
Rockin' the
Polish
Homeless.
Hall,
When
yeah.
we did it on Main Street in one of the vacant storefronts, Joe Kaleo was there, and Charlie, he was in the armed forces, and Charlie Parker.
Parker, right.
He used to work up at the hospital, and Charlie
Yeah.
Parker's there. So we're
Bass
all
player.
hanging out, and we're dancing, we're having a great time. And his daughter Naisha's birthday was, I think, last week, and I met them when I worked for one of the family practices in West Hampton. So I'm on the dance floor, Joe's on the dance floor, Charlie Parker's on the dance floor, and in conversation we find out we all worked at the 1964 World's Fair.
Oh, that's crazy.
Wow.
Charlie did too?
Charlie
What was his function there?
He was in a band.
Oh, he was in a band, okay.
So I have to get a hold of him because he has videos of his band. Because
Yeah.
I was the dancer for
that'd
the
be neat.
Jesters,
Okay,
for Joe Travato's band.
okay.
And I was their dancer at this club on Northern Boulevard in Bayside that I can't remember at the moment. But so Joe said, you have to audition there.
Yeah.
And the day of the audition was a mess too. All right, you're all going to hear it about me. So the day of the audition at the World's Fair, being blind, I had to do my makeup at home, and my sister Vicky, may she rest in peace, she was my eyes.
Right.
So we went on the number 7 train, and we got to the World's Fair, and we had to get through the turnstile. I can't believe I'm telling this on air. So, you know, I knew I had the job, but I still had to audition. So costume is under the clothing, and I'm so close to Vicky because Lindsay could tell you I was legally blind. Sitting this close to you, I could not see your face at all, even with my contact lenses in. My vision was really very, very
A whole nother
bad.
story goes with this, but keep
Yeah, that's for another day, when we do a scary show. And so I'm right behind Vicky,
detailed Phoenix driving, by the way.
and I had to let go of her so she could go through the turnstile.
Right.
These turnstiles did not come around, they came from under.
Over and unders.
Right. Like the
So
subway
I
ones.
was panic-stricken that I was going to lose touch with my sister, who was my eyes.
Right.
So I'm holding on, and we have to let go, and as I'm going through, I didn't time it right, and the bar came through and lifted me up off the ground. So there I am, suspended in the air on a turnstile,
Oh, jeez.
and I'm like, holy crap, what do I do now? 2 security guards had to come over, lift me by my armpits, and lift me up over the turnstile and put me on the other side of it. I was the talk of the security for a few days after that.
That's
So
pretty-
I do have some great memories of the 64 World's Fair.
That's great.
It was fun.
That's
I was
fun.
there, and I remember my biggest memory of 64 World's Fair was where do they make all the cheese? Minnesota, not Minnesota.
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. It was the Wisconsin State Exhibit.
Yes.
It was a block of cheese half the size of this room.
Right.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my God,
I'm in heaven.
That's a big cheese.
The monorail was the big
Yeah,
deal there.
yeah.
Yeah.
They debuted the Ford Mustang at the 64
Yes.
World's
That's right.
Fair. My dad
That's
got
right.
home and called up Otis Ford and says, I want a gold one with a white convertible top and saddle interior.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And he got it.
Yeah, you got a 65.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've all told stories on ourselves. So let's stop talking about me and let's
okay.
do some more music.
What you got?
What do we got?
Let me think.
Got something sweet?
I'm thinking about it. let's try this one here. Let's see what happens. I don't get to play these songs that much.
Okay, whatever you like.
So this is, we play, we're in C.
You're in C, okay. Right. That's pretty. Nice progressions.
Comes in waves across the open plains, blowing down the field. Sometimes it's just the dust always kicking at your heels, or the wind rustling through the trees, something that we feel walks you down the path of good and real. It winds down the avenues in the cities across the land. On the streets we protest now and take a dire stand. Here it is, 7 p.m. from the windows as we heal, making noise to honor those who are so good and real, good and real, getting through all this uncertainty, good and real, not knowing how to feel. We're all in this together. Let's get on a path that's real, so we can live. We can live. Hear it in the ocean waves along the shore at night, lit up by a bright full moon that's calling you to fight. Waves remind you of the days and everything you feel. The moon sets out a path to find the good and real, good and real, getting through all this uncertainty,
pretty, man. That's yours?
So
Thanks, yeah.
pretty.
Beautiful
That's
song.
beautiful.
Thanks.
That was really pretty.
Except for my little flubs. But, hey,
Nobody notices
no
flubs.
flubs.
no, it's just me.
That's it.
It's just like,
That was just,
like
you
Diane
know.
says, there's no crying in baseball.
No. It happens.
It's one of Diane's favorite sayings.
So before we ask you for another one of yours, could you tell people how to reach you?
I'm on Facebook. That's really about.
That's
I don't
it.
have a website or anything like that.
Okay.
You know, I started doing that stuff, and then I got too caught up in everything else and never got to it.
Right.
So I have, you know, I'm on Facebook, and I play in a couple of bands that, you know, you can follow, called the Englishtown Project is one. Black and Sparrows, another. Rumor Has It is
Rumor has
another one.
Yeah.
It's badass.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and I just did this, just put together this little country thing that I really liked. That was a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, that must have been fun, yeah.
That was
Something
a lot
different,
of fun,
doing something
and
different.
also a new record or singles coming out at times with Joe D'Elia,
Okay.
and it's called Joe and Klyph's Excellent Jam.
I love it. Oh, that is so cute. I love the name. That is awesome.
And so we put out 2 singles this summer, you know, and
Can you
and-
do one of them?
yeah, I'm gonna do one of those.
Let's
Those I
do
will
it.
You know, that was a harp.
Okay.
I'm an E.
You're an 8? All right.
So this is one that this was actually the first release that we did was this one.
Okay.
This is called Love Is a Highway. Let's get in tune.
That's how you can tell a musician cares. He likes to make sure it's in tune.
Yeah.
It's close enough. Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
So you could just jump right in the beginning, you know, and
Okay.
then you'll just, you know.
Well, I'm just going to get a taste of where you're going, and I'll try.
Right. Okay. So it goes.
Something like that.
I once had a brother, had holes in his shoes. His pockets were empty, but he sure paid his dues. He never complained, no, never cried the blues. He got on the highway to spread the news. Love is a highway, love is a road. Let's all come together to carry the load. Turning it over, letting it be. Finding a power that'll set you free. I once had a sister, lived all alone. Never did mind know the world was her home. She had a view of the river, all the flowers and trees. She had kindness, comfort, and empathy. Love is a highway, love is a road. Let's all come together to carry the load. Turning it over, letting it be. Finding a power that'll set you free. Don't you live in shambles,
We are just about
Is
out.
that it?
Thank you for supporting
That
the
went by
show.
quick.
See you soon. Bless you.